day one. I think it's day one. We're going to say. I've been saying day 0. Apparently, it's getting.
Have you still not figured it out yet?
I've not figured that out, but I have figured out how I might hypothetically be able to take the pillow if I take the cover off. Ooh. Don't tell anyone. Our secret. I'm joined again by Shana Nina. Hello. And my 2 gentlemen. Why don't you tell us who you are, what you're here to show us off today?
Okay, my name is Richard May. I was a gameplay programmer on the original Road Trooper Redux, and we're here to show Road Trooper Redux.
Awesome. Yeah, my name's Robbie. I'm head of marketing at Rebellion as well, and I'm going to let Rich give you all the nice anecdotes.
Awesome. Well, if people don't know, Road Trooper is a kind of a cult game.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cult game based on a cult comic.
A cult comic by Dave Gibbons, who did Watchmen as well, might be more famed as. But this was one of the first cover-based shooters. Before you had Gears of War, Uncharted, or Vanquish, there was Road Trooper.
So, I mean, we weren't the first.
One of the first.
One of the first. Gears came out shortly after us, but we both have similar inspirations. If you look back at things like, I think Kill Switch was one of the first covers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So we saw that, we wanted to do something along those lines, and the Gears guys were obviously thinking the same sort of thing. So yeah, Rogue came out in 2006. Was pretty new in terms of that mechanic was fairly fresh at the time. So yeah,
and it's time to bring it back now with the
Yeah. I mean, people now are much more used to that kind of thing. So having more familiarity with that mechanic, maybe it'll help.
I think we're going to check out some footage here on the screen. I think you'll be playing along. This is obviously a beta build, so work in progress, but...
Yeah. So we've got the first level here. This is the same levels as the original game, but completely remastered for the modern console. So you've got completely remodeled characters, new textures, all fully high-res textures, new lighting, shadows, as you can see here. I mean, looking at this game, this is how it was in my memory. If I go back now, look at the original. Oh.
Yeah, sometimes, especially that early PlayStation 1, that early generation 3D shift, you can sometimes, like when I went back and played GoldenEye, I had amazing memories of GoldenEye, but going back and playing it, the mechanics weren't spot on. Were the mechanics, did you have to change anything in this game, or was it?
We changed a couple of little things, but for the most part, I mean, the reason we wanted to bring this back is because we really thought it stood on its own. The original game has a lot of solid gameplay mechanics, like the cover shooting, that was just sort of unusual at the time. It's also a tactical shooter as well. You don't really see it at this level because it's the first level of the game. We can't throw everything at you straight away. But later on in the game, you really get a chance to sort of play with the tools that you're given. Rogue, his colleagues, they're going to die. You're going to see them all die. We're not pretending that this isn't a silly war story where everybody dies apart from the hero. That's going to happen. So,
your teammates almost end up being your gun and your equipment.
Exactly. Yeah. So they will end up as biochips in your equipment. So you'll have essentially a talking gun, a talking hat, and a talking bag. Now it sounds ridiculous, but it does really work. It gives us some really interesting gameplay mechanics because you can later in levels you can place Gunnar down as a tripod, as a sort of automated sentry weapon. So you can leave him. Plant micromines that Bagman is going to manufacture for you, and you sneak off around the side of the level, and then activate Gunnar. Gunnar jumps up, starts shooting. All the enemies, the Nauts, who you'll see soon, will charge towards your carefully placed mines. They're going to die horribly whilst you sneak up and shoot them in the back. So, it gives you really a chance to play with these little levels later on, and I really enjoyed that back in the day, and I still enjoy playing it now.
And it adds a level of tactical mechanics that really involves you in the process and really makes you, compulsively play it.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I really enjoy about Rogue is there's a certain, you can play it in a kind of like a perfectionist if you want to. You can go in running gun. On the easier difficulty levels, you can just kind of scythe through the baddies, and you can have fun that way. But the game really comes alive for me when you put it on the hard modes, where a couple of shots and you're going to die. So you really have to plan ahead. You have to use your abilities to take down the enemies before they see you, when they're not looking at you, and that kind of thing. So we've got a lot of elements that you might be familiar with the later games, like sort of kill moves and things, where you come up behind an enemy that can't see you and take him out silently without alerting the rest of them. And
I will try and do a stealth kill later. It's quite tough.
It's difficult on this level, yeah.
No pressure.
So I am not familiar with this game, and I'm pretty sure there's probably people watching that aren't either. Let's take a step back. What is the story?
Okay, so
I'm curious.
Rogue's based on the original 2000 AD comic, which is the same stable that people like Judge Dredd came out of. It's a product of its era. We're not pretending it's not a bit silly. It is, but it's a sort of well-loved 1980s comic, and we tried to take that story and put it straight into the game. You know, we've done a few things to sort of make it slightly less ridiculous, but at the end of the day, Rogue is a genetically engineered super soldier created by the Salvors, who have been embroiled in a war with the Nauts on the planet called New Earth, which is of strategic importance. It has a big black hole in the sky, which you might be able to see in the background here, which is really key to the strategic area that they're in. So the Salvors have been fighting this war with the Nauts for years and years and years, and it's just a long, protracted war that's poisoned the atmosphere, destroyed the planet, and now the Salvors are sort of using the genetically engineered super soldiers who can survive in this environment as their last throw of the dice. So this is the first deployment of the genetic infantrymen that you see here. It's what's called the it becomes known as the Quartz Zone Massacre. So I won't say I haven't spoiled the story for you, but basically all of the GIs die because they're betrayed by a shadowy figure that it becomes known as the Traitor General. And Rogue's story is really about him and his biochip buddies trying to get revenge for their comrades who were killed, trying to find out who is the Traitor General and track him down and bring him to justice. So at the start of the game, you're about to see the kind of deployment of the GIs and their doomed attempt to turn the tide of the war.
I think there we go. Try and turn it down a little bit. It's so atmospheric and such a war that we can't quite hear each other. Sorry about that.
No, that's all.
You must have quite a responsibility coming from a very well-known or loved comic book, and then a game that was kind of niche and kind of like a bit went under the radar at the time, but has a lot of fans in the industry.
It's been great actually now to sort of meet people again who did play this game back in the day. Like when we released it, there was no social media really. It was in its early stages. So we threw the game out. And you couldn't patch it, of course, back then. So you chuck it out the door, and that's that. Job done. And now, you didn't hear much back then about who was playing it, who was enjoying it. You get anecdotals, maybe things, and sales figures, but nothing more than that. And now, taking this to shows, and I'm meeting people who are like, oh, I played this with my dad, I loved it, and this, that, and the other. Guys who grew up reading the comics who loved it, or guys who just found it on a whim in a bucket somewhere in a shop. And loved it. You didn't know what it was, but still enjoyed it, and that's great. But also, it's great to bring it to a new audience who didn't catch it the first time around.
And it must be such a warming feeling to have someone remember the game and talk to you about it, and it must really inspire you.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, my dad played this. And
it's
like, oh no,
no, not that old.
Yeah. It's been 10 years, which is a hell of a time.
Yeah, well, I grew up on the Atari 2600 and then an Amiga, so all this new stuff to me is like, what is technology today?
Someone was asking me earlier whether it was SNES or Mega Drive, and I was like, no, Amiga. Sorry.
Amiga was the greatest console.
So it is new player friendly, this game.
It should be, yeah. I mean, this is the tutorial level you're seeing here, so it opens you with the sort of basic mechanics of the game, takes you through the cover and the shooting, and then later on you'll start getting a lot more of the
lore and
advanced tactics in the later levels. So we tried to. It was quite key back in the day. The tutorial would take you through the elements, but we've toned that down a little bit. Seeing as nowadays we assume everyone can pick up a controller and move around. Yeah. Whereas in the early ones it was kind of no, you've got to look that way, you've got to look this way. Yeah. Here's how you jump, etc., etc. We let people figure that out, but generally we take you through and then hand-hold you through the first bits.
And it's coming out on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Switch in the future.
Yeah. Switch. So Switch is one of those things that's been great to add to the stable, if you like. We didn't know if it was going to happen early on, but we're hoping that we'll have it out, if not on the same day as everything else, but almost straight after.
It seems like so many people are like really getting hold of the Switch now. Every developer's trying to make a Switch version. It's really caught the public and the industry's imagination.
It's been great to see. Been great to see.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. If people want to know more about the game, is there somewhere they should head, or?
If you want to go to roguetrooper.com, you can go there. There's even a chance to win a copy of the game if you sign up for our newsletter.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and good luck with the release. Of course, we're going to have a